many of the elements of design, space, distance, proportion, use of white space, use of typography can be taught. 60% is formula. The other 40%, God has to give it to you.
Mario Garcia is a legend in the world of newspaper design. The award-winning Cuban-American has been involved with the redesign of more than 700 publications in 120 countries. When newspapers went onto digital platforms, Mr. Garcia followed. The tireless 76-year-old was in Singapore recently. I'm Sumiko, executive editor of the Straits Times. Over a coffee from Toastbox, he talks about his transition from print design to digital and whether creativity is something you're born with or can be learned. How did you manage to transit from being, a print design guru to now digital?
The transition was not difficult because the foundation of it all is journalism. My last book was called The Story, simply because I think that the story is what it's all about.
Greek theater was good stories. Shakespeare was good storytelling. So that hasn't changed at all, except that we now have a platform where we can tell stories with video, with audio, in a more cinematographic way.
Do you think print will ever die, the newspaper itself?
Yeah, I think that the daily newspaper, Monday through Friday, will probably die everywhere, but there will probably be a weekend newspaper for people who want to disconnect.
So what's your approach to, storytelling on the mobile phone?
My approach is that it has to be like a WhatsApp conversation, that you need to have text and image. And if you're out there and there is a storm and you want people to see how stormy it is, you write and then you say, and look, thunder and lightning. You want to hear it? I'll give you the sound of it. And you incorporate video, you incorporate audio along with the text. That's the secret, and that's basically the challenge for journalists who can only see words.
Which was more pleasurable for you, designing for print or digital?
Designing for print is more pleasurable. You have a larger canvas on which to draw, but I have a lot of excitement doing a news app. And it's the same thing. You apply color, you apply typography, and you have other tools to work with, like video and audio. So you have to expand your horizon and learn new things and not say, well, this is the way I've always done it. So if that was my thinking, I would have abandoned all of this maybe 12, 13 years ago.
You're 76 now, and you're still learning.
Yes, I'm still learning.
Could you talk about your interest in AI?
My interest in AI is a development of the last 2 years. If you're a professor at the university, you need to be aware of this. And so the best way to become aware is to dip your toes into it. And so I downloaded the ChatGPT when it came out, and I started having daily rituals, 30 minutes every day with the ChatGPT. And then I began to experiment with the illustration, with the Mid-Journey program. So this is fascinating. It's just another avenue to discover what can be done with technology. I like technology.
And you were very involved in the new paper.
Yes, I was. The new paper was a visionary project at the time. Everybody was talking, oh, let's attract young readers. So let's create a newspaper for the 16 to 25-year-olds. And that was the new paper, which to this day I think was the TikTok, before TikTok was a new paper.
If you could give a tip to, a budding designer, what would that be?
It would be, keep your eyes open, look at everything that is designed. Go to the museums. The inspiration is everywhere. So you can get inspiration from a flower, you can get inspiration from a napkin, you can get inspiration from a poster, from an old 19th century painting. If you see an idea that you like, don't just store it mentally. Take a piece of paper and do a scribble and save it. I save all my scribbles.
Can design be taught, or do you have to be born with it?
I think that many of the elements of design, space, distance, proportion, use of white space, use of typography can be taught. 60% is formula. The other 40%, God has to give it to you. And that's your creativity, that you look at the story and say, this is how I will illustrate this story. With that 60% formula, you can be a good designer, a good photographer, even a good writer. I advise any designer who wants to contemplate a career in design to learn the basic skills, and then you can see where the creativity takes you.
When you look at the many stages of your long career, which has been the most satisfying?
The most satisfying has been when you have that moment when a person who can never imagine that this would happen sees the light and it happens. That transformation is always fascinating to me. It's the people component. I like people. Long after you've forgotten the projects, you remember that particular editor that you work with, and sometimes that you transform.
Thanks very much for your time.
Well, my pleasure.
From the first time that I won the SEA Games this year, I think all of it has a special place in my heart.